All right, welcome to the fifth edition of Sokal Survey, and today is a huge day because I'm interviewing four Sokal employees about their impressions of the new 2021 Ford Bronco. From its 1960s birth through iterations and an eventual stop in the 90s, true rugged SUV lovers have thirsted for the return of a truly cool, go-anywhere automobile from Ford. The first sport utility vehicle marketed by Ford, the Bronco was initially a compact design based on its own chassis, competing against the Jeep CG5 and the International Harvester Scout. Following declining demand for two-door SUVs during the 90s, Ford discontinued the Bronco after the 1996 model year. And that brings us to today. The all-new 4x4 family of Bronco two-door, four-door, and small Bronco sport models are coming soon, and we want to interview four of our employees about their first impressions. I am so excited to be speaking with Sokal account manager Grace Andrews about the new Ford Bronco. And Grace, what are your first impressions of the Bronco?
I think the new Bronco looks so cool. You know, when I was watching the trailer, it's a very symbolic car and of what America is all about. And it kind of gets back into your roots. It has that ruggedness and toughness feel. I personally really like the large and boxy design and the variety of customizable features.
Awesome. Now, I must ask, one of the competitors that Ford's kind of aiming for is the Jeep brand. And would you consider yourself more of a Jeep fan or Bronco fan after watching this?
Oh gosh, I don't know. When I first learned to drive, my mom had I don't even know what year it was. It was old, and a Ford Expedition XL. So it was like a bus. But when I turned 16 and wanted a car of my own, I really wanted a Jeep, and in particular a Jeep Wrangler. My dad, for some reason, thought I would flip it if I got a Wrangler, but I looked at a Laredo for a little bit, but ultimately ended up going with something else. So I don't know. I think they're very, competitive models. I think the Ford has that new modern edge, so that might kind of take them to the next level for this time period, and they have a whole new audience of people to target.
I agree. And as you and I were talking earlier, the customization is endless. There's so many different options you can pile on it.
Yeah, I think they have like two-door, four-door, sport.
Yep.
Personally, a four-door type of car, but I think the sport looks super cool too. And if you needed something smaller, you could go with the two-door.
Sure. All right. So my second guest, I'm honored to have AJ Alston, who is the paid search team lead at Sokal. And AJ, what are your first impressions of the new 2021 Ford Bronco?
I thought it was really cool. I think it blends modern and aggressive really well.
And I know you and I have talked a little bit offline about this, but like as a electric car owner, do you feel like, oh, this is a step back? Like we should really be pushing more electric, even in a rugged vehicle like this?
I do think it's interesting that it definitely has some hints of the Rivian. I think Ford and Rivian are kind of in cahoots. I think Ford donated some money to Rivian to help them kind of get started. So maybe that was part of the agreement there, was that they would help them with some design cues for a new vehicle like the Bronco. But I don't know. I think that there's still a lot of things that electric cars leave to be desired, especially when you're talking about ruggedness and off-road. So maybe just the fact that they're working together is a step in the right direction, even if it's not an electric vehicle and it's not super sustainable from like a gas emission standpoint.
Do you think you could ever own something like this, or is it not necessarily like what you'd ever be looking for?
I think if I live somewhere really interesting where I could take it off road, and not just like, like mud and stuff, but like a huge variety of different kind of environments to tackle, I think that'd be really fun. But I don't know where that would be. I don't
Yeah.
know where I'd have to live to do that. So
You'd
probably,
probably you'd probably have to drive at least a few hours from wherever we are.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But I would definitely enjoy driving someone else's. That seems like the dream.
Definitely. For my third interview, I'm honored to have McCauley here, who's senior editor at Sokal. And Cole, I know you got a chance to check out some of the Ford video trailers and other documentation. What's your first impression of this new super rugged SUV?
I think they're trying to give Jeep a run for their money. I love the design of it, and the marketing really emphasized how well it can handle the off-road. It's a tank of a truck, man. It's a tank of an SUV. The whole class is really cool too. I like the design personally. I like the design out of all of the off-road vehicles in the field right now. This is probably my favorite design so far, interior and exterior of the vehicle. So just first impression, looks awesome. They put a lot of power into it, and they put a lot of thought into who their market is, and they want people to throw. I think they really want people to throw this thing in the dirt and watch what it can do. So I'm excited to see. I think as the Bronco gets in circulation and people get their hands on them, like how it's going to be utilized out in the real world, and what we're going to see out of it. So
I know you and I talked a little bit offline about your car was in the shop for like a week, and what would it be like to maybe have one of these? Could you imagine yourself having one of these in the future, or would you ever want one of these?
Oh, no doubt. And I actually just learned that it wasn't just one vehicle. They have a whole class. I thought they just released one Bronco, but I just learned that they have the 4-door, the 2-door, and the sport version, I think they're calling it.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, so I think that's a smart move too, because it's financially trying to appeal to a couple different classes, a couple different markets of people. But I consider myself a pretty outdoorsy person. I like to go climbing, go hiking, and my Corolla right now isn't too great for going to the craziest of places. So I could totally see myself packing up a Bronco and, trying to hit some mud somewhere, going camping, whatever it may be. Definitely seems like a good fit. Not right now, but, in the future.
Would you see yourself more of like a doors on kind of person, or doors off or hood off kind of person?
You got to take the doors off, man. You got to really utilize what that thing can do, right?
True.
Get yourself a rain jacket, hit the mud, see what happens.
Yep, and some goggles maybe. No, but did you? And then another thing that you and I chatted briefly about was in terms of their overall marketing. You, Cole, and the team are pushing the envelope more and more every day for our company in terms of video production. What was your overall take on in terms of like how they presented this visually?
It's beautiful, man. They crushed the video. The Bronco lends itself to being able to throw itself in really hard conditions, and the videographers did a great job showing how it can handle speed, how the suspension can just like hit bumps going 40, 50 miles an hour, and it's a smooth ride still. Kind of making you feel like, really making you feel like the context the Bronco is supposed to be in.
Yep.
So overall, yeah, I think the marketing and it's a really convenient. I think it's a really good time for this release, because I feel like you're going to see a shift in people going purchase, or I think you're going to start to see a shift in people purchasing vehicles that are supposed to be like for road trips and more outdoor type stuff, just because of this whole COVID situation. People are going to want to be outside more. So I think as far as Ford's timing on this, it's perfect timing. I feel like people next year are going to be buying these things just so they can, find some ways to stay entertained and not stay bored during when we're supposed to be quarantined and a little more isolated now. So all in all, I think it's a smart move by Ford. Timing, design, I feel like this is probably one of the best releases they've made in a while.
I am so honored and excited to have Bo Sowers, who's our programmatic team lead at Sokal, interviewed about the new 2021 Ford Bronco. And Bo, what's your thoughts on this new vehicle?
Yeah, man, I think taking the words from the video itself, it is absolutely wild. It's sick. My first thought is I think it's quite a unique time to release a vehicle of this caliber, especially given the state of the country where we're all in the state of the world where we're all stuck. I think we're all wanting to get outside and be adventurous, explore the wild. And I think it's core in me simply because I'm stuck at home and I want to go explore the world myself. So I think absolutely phenomenal.
The question does arise. It looks like Ford's really going after Jeep in a few ways with this model. Would you consider yourself, like if you had a choice to buy a Jeep or a Bronco, what would be your choice there?
It would be a Bronco, hands down. And it's just the way I was raised, to be honest, but also just because watching the video and seeing the vehicle was really cool. So my grandpa, he actually was a Ford man himself, and he would never any other vehicle but a Ford because he trusted in the brand. It was American built, American made, and it was just reliable. He actually had a Bronco himself, a red and white one. And so anything I can do to honor him and enjoy the ride myself, I'm all in.
All right, there you have it. Sounds like everybody's pretty psyched about the new Ford Bronco. Just a plug here, don't forget to check out our other videos and subscribe. Have a great day, everybody.